Billie Eilish just got featured on Variety's Power of Women issue. The title is Billie Eilish says being a woman is just such a war forever. Is this equivalent to her making a declaration of war against men? That's up for you to decide. But in this, she talks a lot about body shaming and essentially claims that men are never body shamed simply because women are just nicer. Women are just nicer than men. When in history has anyone believed that?
There's never been a movie called Mean Boys.
No, there hasn't been. And she's being featured because she's associated with a plant-based nonprofit. I couldn't roll my eyes harder when I read that. Like, how do you not know how out of touch you sound? Yeah. You're just an out of touch, bought and paid for Hollywood elitist prick. Anyway, so this starts off saying that Billie has spent much of her life plagued by the assumption that other women don't like her. Quote, I've never really felt like I could relate to girls very well. And you know that up until more recent years, she's been dressing in oversized clothes, essentially cosplaying as Adam Sandler in order to cover up her body, and here she explains why. Quote, I wasn't trying to have people not sexualize me, but I didn't want people to have access to my body, even visually. I wasn't strong enough and secure enough to show it. If I had shown it at the time, I would have been completely devastated if people said anything. Maybe my not really caring about being sexualized is because I've never felt desired or desirable. I've never felt like a woman, to be honest with you. I've never felt feminine. I identify as she, her, and things like that, but I've never really felt like a girl. And this is what happens when you reduce being a woman down to identifying with she, her, and things like that. And the surface level things like wearing dresses and lipstick and heels. Like, if Dylan Mulvaney can be a woman, what does that mean for biological women?
20 years ago, they would have just called them a tomboy, and it would have been fine. You would have still been a woman.
Does it need to be this much of a conundrum? And
is that just part of our growing narcissism as a culture? That it's a conundrum at all just means that we are so sheltered as a society that we have the time to worry about such issues?
Well, we could get way deeper into this topic, but it's not really necessary. I think that with the introduction of transhumanist technology like the hormonal birth control pill, the differences between the sexes has been completely erased. So we're having to ask ourselves, what does substantively differentiate women from men if they can turn off their reproductive capabilities?
Is there an answer to that?
No. No, there's not. It's a society-ending crisis that we're in right now. But that's totally besides the point. I think that Billie Eilish is saying things very reminiscent of what all of these confused young girls who usually have anxiety and autism say, who end up identifying as trans. Because as soon as you question your femininity, there is a group on the sidelines with an agenda clamoring and telling you that you must be non-binary or you must be trans, and you just haven't come to terms with it yet, and you need to be medicalized instantly in order to be happy. That's what this sounds like.
Elliot Page. And the scary thing is she would face more of pressure from a group like that because they would see someone of her level of fame and influence as extremely beneficial to their cause because they don't have friends, they have allies.
Right. An ally is not the same as a friend.
No, it's not.
Because that means you're their tool.
Yeah. That's why I've always had a problem with that. That's why I've always had a problem with that term ally, which I find to be extremely dehumanizing and anti-everything we're supposed to believe in as a society as far as actual groups, friendships, relationships, allies, and groups like that. That's something you talk about in wartime or in conflict, not while just living your life on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm. I hear that there are so many young girls confused about what it means to be a woman because being a woman has been reduced down to surface level characteristics like having long hair wearing makeup, wearing dresses, frolicking around in heels, much like Dylan Mulvaney's Days of Girlhood series. And there's no way you can refute that without the entire ideology crumbling on itself. And that's how you end up with people saying things like, oh, well, I've never really felt like a girl. But that's because you never really felt like being a girly girl.
Or you didn't have a definition for what a girl is anyways, because none of you can define what a woman is.
Right, exactly.
It's like when they say, like, you can't define woke, it's like you can't define woman. I guess we're all in our own struggling boat.
So here is Billie Eilish's response to the quote-unquote trolls that made comments about her body. Quote, you wear something that's all revealing and everyone's like, oh, but you didn't want people to sexualize you? You can suck my ass. I'm literally a being that is sexual sometimes. F you. That's some strong language, young lady.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what she's trying to communicate here.
And like I said, You're
a being that is sexual sometimes.
I'll always laugh when women of the West use vulgar language in confrontational attitudes because they understand that society makes it uncouth to punch them in the face. Therefore, they're allowed to behave that way. Whereas men, if they have to say something stupid like that or say something confrontational like that, they have to at least entertain the idea that using that language could end up getting them decked.
Socked.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, she's responding to people that make comments on the internet, which are low stakes and low risk. They say things anonymously
also
when they want to be vicious, and you shouldn't put any stock in what they say.
That's the problem, right? It's like it would be like us doing videos or doing interviews based on the people who say mean things about us, right? Like, it's not really worth your time. No. If it's not going to change the way you live your life, if it's not going to change the way you do your work, if it's not going to help you in some way, is it really worth it to give that much power? That's why the worst thing you can do is like, it may feel good in the moment to respond to the people who talk shit to you. All you're doing is giving them exactly what they want, because whether you agree with them or tell them they're awful, what they want from you is a response. So by addressing those people, she's actually giving those trolls, her words, trolls, exactly what they want. Now, that's not assuming that all of them are trolls, and some of them might just have actual concerns or want to have a substantive discussion about what all of these things mean.
I think going out of her way all those years to drape herself in loose-fitting clothes to hide her body actually drew way more attention to her body when she stopped doing that, and then she just ended up being objectified more. But here's the kicker, guys. She claims that women never body shame men because essentially women are just better people, okay? Quote, nobody ever says a thing about men's bodies. If you're muscular, cool. If you're not, cool. If you're rail thin, cool. If you have a dad bod, cool. If you're pudgy, love it. Everybody's happy with it. You know why? Because girls are nice. They don't give an F because we see people for who they are. Now, what do you have to say about this? Do you think that it's true that, you know, women don't body shame men the way that men body shame women?
No, I think what's true is that women look for different things. Like, we would have to break this down to whether we're talking about relationships or general
celebrities, right?
Yeah.
Think of a different celebrity. Have male celebrities been body shamed?
Yes.
It's happened before. Yes. I can't name any specific examples, but I'm sure that it's happened.
Yeah. It is. She's not wrong that women are going to get more of the brunt of those types of complaints, but also women get farther on just their body alone than men do. So it's a trade-off you have to be willing to make. Do you want? Like I said, there's an article in this where they're literally going through what she's wearing. A guy's not going to get an article written about him just talking about what he's wearing. So if you want the benefits that come with having your body used for promotional means, then you have to deal with the drawbacks as well. Men don't have that advantage of being able to market based on looks alone, though it does help when they're in good shape and stuff like that. And I think these days the average actor is in better shape. Yeah. Like, if you go down the line and you go look at your average television actor that's in his 20s and 30s, they're in much better shape than your average everyday person, because being on camera, the men understand inherently that even though it's not going to benefit them the same way a woman is benefited from it, that it's a visual business and looking good on camera matters. Tom Cruise said this back in the 80s, in an interview in like the 90s. He's like, look, stay in shape, get in shape. You're all like camera tests, all sorts of things. It's why they make a big deal about the Marvel men. Now, I will say this, when the Marvel men all get into fantastic shape so that they can make the Marvel movies, they don't hold the women to those standards anymore. The men, it's like, look at Chris Hemsworth. He looks like a Greek god. Look at Kumail Nanjiani. He was a dorky comedian and now he's ripped, right? They're not making those videos about the women of Marvel. Mm-hmm. They're allowed to just be. So music is a little bit different than television and movies.
Sure. We got a $20 one from Baron of Gray Matter. Never shown or taught a moral framework. They're untethered. Never say anything about men's bodies. How about I want someone that is at least 6 feet tall?
There you go. Also, there was a brutal fact check on this thing here. It says nobody ever says anything. It's the quote that she read, and then down here it says it's estimated that roughly 10 million men in the United States alone experience body dysmorphia for the same reasons that women do. So, you know,
well, it's not necessarily for the same reasons,
being unhappy with your physical appearance is not, maybe it's height. Maybe for men, it's height more than your general appearance. Like for me, as somebody who is short, I'm 5'5", you know, you have to learn to be funny, or you have, maybe I'm not funny, but like you have to learn to have an interesting personality or have something about you that's engaging, that's going to be something that somebody can be attracted to. If height is something that matters to them, you're going to have to learn how to find other ways to be appealing to people. Mm-hmm. That's just
everyone has to make do with what they have.
And the difference between men and women in Hollywood, or men and women, is, and maybe this is just a Hollywood thing, is that men just kind of have to deal with it. Women will get the articles written about them. Like, I don't know any articles about Hollywood men that are under 6 feet that are complaining about under 6 feet, because they're already famous. It doesn't matter.
Well,
They've got that working for them.
I'm sure that if they did want to complain, if there were any male celebrities that wanted to complain about being body shamed, they would have a platform to do it and they would get applauded for it. But they don't complain about it. They don't really care. They're getting their bag.
Yeah. And that's a fundamental difference between what men and women value as far as this type of media. Like, and this thing, so the women who do this are advertising these articles to women. A guy doing this would be advertising these to women as well, because they know that men wouldn't want to read about stuff like this. I didn't want to read about this.
Yeah, this just feels like commiserating.
Yeah.
There's no solution. It's just complaining to no end. And, you know, maybe, yeah, it's true that female celebrities, or maybe females in general, they face more scrutiny based on their appearance or based on their bodies. But it's true that they benefit from it more in a broken system, I'll say. But that totally discounts the fact that women can be vicious about so many other things. Yeah. Other things that are more important to men, like income, for instance. Like personality things. Like, girls make fun of guys all the time for things that they can't change.
They will. There's this famous video where
look, at least if you're getting body shamed for being fat, you can change that.
There was the video of the woman who said like measuring our dates, our Tinder dates as they come through the door, and they have like the measuring stick on the side of the wall, and then a guy just drops a scale down in front of the door, and everyone got pissed at him for making the joke.
But it's like, you can literally control your weight. Yeah. You can't control your height unless you go get that awful surgery.
No, Ron DeSantis has proven multiple times you can, in fact, control your height.
Is Ron DeSantis going to be one of those guys that gets a leg lengthening surgery?
He should do it. He should do it. Also, guys have there was a thing that I was looking at the other day where they were talking about, it was like the guy who's really in shape, but he just has like such an unfortunate face that like, and it's like, it's not ugly, but he just looks like he works in an office, even though he looks like he's in incredible shape. And then somebody just points out, they're like, give that dude a beard, get rid of his glasses, fix his hair, and he will look like a completely different person, right? So everybody has some type of path forward to fix themselves. It just takes work. And men seem to understand implicitly that there's not really a point in bitching about it because it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
The thing is, for women, it does get you somewhere. So you can't really hold it against them for complaining about it because society rewards them doing it.
Women just have such an intense need for affirmation that all they want to hear is you're perfect the way you are, which is not a constructive mindset. But now even men have wanted to jump on that bandwagon and be told that you're worthy just for who you are. Like, no, you need to earn respect in this world. You need to earn what you have.
I find something so abhorrent about that.
You can't just be cheered on and applauded for existing.
Whenever I see stuff like that,
especially as a man, though.
Whenever I see stuff like that, I can never really put my finger on why it bothers me so much. But it feels to me like it's an extremely defeatist way to look at the world. Like that, and the idea of a world where you don't strive for more at all is one thing. The idea of a world where you don't strive for more at all and you're praised for it seems like almost an admission of defeat.
I often see people tout the line that's like, men aren't valued for who they are, they're valued for what they do or what they make. Yeah. And that statement, you can either take it as a defeatist one or one that encourages you to build something. And it would be better for you to take it as a call to action rather than a self-pity party.
Elon Musk, when he starts his company, no hair, he's broke. He's just not broke, but he's just starting out. He hasn't sold PayPal yet or whatever. He's got no hair. Now he's got a full head of hair. Elon Musk, so rich his hair grew back.
Be the Elon Musk you want to see in the
world.
the
other one is Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos looked like a dweeb when he started Amazon.
I mean, he still kind of does, but
now he just looks like
he's buff.
like a testosterone-filled dweeb who actually has sex with his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, that didn't actually look like the case. He was. Yeah. I think the reason also is like they always find the best photos of these guys. Like I don't know where, but it's like Jeff Bezos and he's wearing a sweater vest. And let's just face it, like you're never gonna look cool in a sweater vest.
Yeah,
it's just
unless you're like Troye Sivan. Well,
still not. You're not gonna look cool.
Zuckerberg still looks like a dweeb, but he has a loving wife and family. Yep. He looks pretty down to earth.
All these men have one thing in common: they're filthy rich, and that changes. But remember, women don't frame it as being. They don't like you because you're rich. They like you because you're ambitious and you're successful. They're attracted to success, not money.
Zuckerberg got married before he was rich.
Success, not money. Yes. Well, the smart ones build their.
And what you're saying, you're saying it sarcastically, but it is true. There are plenty of women that have an incredibly keen ability to track whether a guy is capable of building something. Mm-hmm. If he's poor and he's still intelligent, motivated, and doesn't have a defeatist attitude, then that is something that women are attracted to, period. And it happens all the time. Yep. Like with Mark Zuckerberg.
But I mean, that's not all of them, though. And there's only so many of those men in the world. There are only so many men building wealth on that level in the world.
Not on that level, but I mean, there are plenty of guys that are usually in their 20s.
It's an interesting discussion to have. I think it's a little bit dismissive of what men go through, but also she's a girl, so how could she know what men go through? I can't really fault her for that. I can be annoyed that this type of message gets propagated out to the world, and I'm supposed to just accept that she's going to be the influence for little girls all over the world, but that's Hollywood culture in a nutshell. They haven't passed on a good message to the general public in 25, 30 years. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.